Just give
Hello, everyone. We are live now, and I have Madhuri Shinde Dalai with me on the line. She is joining me from Mumbai. She is an L&D learning and development specialist and instructional design specialist, and also she is an e-learning specialist. And Smita, who will be joining us from Mountain View, California, she'll be coming in another few minutes. I think there is a little bit of time lapse. In fact, I was also having some internet glitches, and that's the reason why we have to delay the broadcast for about a couple of minutes. I hope the audience who has joined us already doesn't mind this delay. But live streaming is such that we are still kind of experimenting with the whole thing, and I'm pretty new to the whole thing. Even seasoned live streamers, Madhuri, I have seen that they sometimes have a lot of glitches and these technical difficulties they have to overcome from time to time.
Yeah,
But the basic thing in all of this activity is to just keep going, irrespective of whatever problems one is facing.
yeah, yeah.
Madhuri, tell me, first of all, can you hear me all right? Can you see me all right?
Yes, Nina, I'm able to hear you, and I am able to hear you, see you very clearly.
Good,
Yeah,
good. I am so thankful to the internet technology that at least sitting so far apart, we can also talk to each other. We can see each other, especially in present day situations. Because
yeah.
had the internet not been there to support us in all of our
Mm-hmm.
work-related activities
Mm-hmm.
and also our personal activities, a lot of people are using it to have a lot of fun activities and even e-parties.
True.
I don't know, this present day situation would have been absolutely uncomfortable to bear if the internet had not been there. I'm really so thankful for the internet as such. And
True, true. I completely agree with you.
Madhuri, you are an e-learning specialist with
Yeah,
a lot of work that has gone into all of the activities that you have accomplished so far.
yeah.
Tell me, first of all, what is e-learning exactly? See, I have also been working in the field, and
Mm-hmm.
there have been a lot of activities that have been pursuing also. But
Mm-hmm.
e-learning, I still feel in the basic core arena that where I perform training and coaching is still something where adaptability is quite low, even in the international community, not just here in India.
Hmm.
So why people are so hesitant, specifically coaches and trainers, to adapt e-learning as such as a module in their repertoire of activities? Can you tell me a little bit? What
I
is
think
your
you know. Yeah, I think you have already covered the word that you have said, adaptability. First, I think it is adaptability. Somewhere there is they are hesitant, to adapt the technology because they are so used to face communication, the actual human interact, face-to-face interact, that the adaptability becomes a challenge. That's the first thing. Second thing is, hi, Smita.
Smita, one moment. Sorry for interrupting you. Smita is with us. Hi,
Yeah.
Smita. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear. I apologize for the delay. I did not realize that my MacBook is not compatible with the the
And we,
StreamYard.
we were only just now we were talking about the glitches that can come in technology. I
Oh yeah.
also have a couple of minutes delay, and that's the reason why we came in a little late. But fantastic to have you here, Smita. And we were just thanking the technology that we have at our disposal right now, so that we can, sitting halfway across the world, literally, we can actually communicate with each other. And Madhuri and I had just jumped into the discussion. I had asked her about why I see the trainers and coaches as such uh, a little hesitant to adapt to the technology. What may be the reason behind it? So she's going into the details of it, and you can just join her, jump in whenever We just
Sure,
want this to be a very free flowing kind of a
sure,
discussion.
sure.
Right.
Yes,
I think,
Madhuri.
yeah, Nina, I was saying adaptability, but since Smita has joined, I will pass this question to Smita. There is a reason because Smita herself has been a trainer and a coach, and then she has adapted to e learning. So I think she has gone through it, lived it, so she's the best person to answer.
All
Yeah,
right. Fantastic. Fantastic.
thanks, Madhuri. Uh, so one of the reasons I actually got into the learning and development was because I myself was very upset with learning and development and how it happened in my life. So I always thought that maybe I'm not that intelligent. Maybe I have some learning disability. Maybe I do not get things that the way it is said. And then when I grew up, I realized that the fault was not with me. I was just learning in a different way. And
Hmm.
so right from the beginning of my career, I was really interested in how the training happens, how coaching happens, and I have been a trainer myself. But then and I was a coach, and I was actually doing trainings all my life, but my core principles actually lived with me, which is, I am doing this because I want to bring in some change. And to bring in some change, one of the most important thing is you have to bring change in yourself first. Okay.
Right.
You have to keep adapting. You have to
Right.
keep changing. So I remember when there was a time when we would actually get into a classroom session and ask the participants, hey, put off your mobile phones, throw it away, put it on silent. We're supposed to focus. There is a presentation slide that goes here. Two, within 6 years, I was called as a no presentation girl because I thought that presentation was a big distraction. And
Hmm.
I started getting these toys in the classroom. I let people who are like 40, 50-year old play with the toys because only then you would be able to bring in the change. However, one of the reasons why I feel that trainers, or for that matter even teachers, are so hesitant to technology is because there is a very deep fear of change. They feel that
Hmm.
if I am going to change and put my foot somewhere else, I'm going to lose the battle and I'm going to go 10 steps behind. And
Fantastic.
so
Fantastic.
that yeah, that's
Hmm.
what happened with me. So when I moved into e-learning, and to be very honest with you, I never had a technology background ever in my life. Okay, I'm a
Hmm.
student of literature with a specialization in drama and theater. So I remember when I first moved into writing for a newspaper. Uh, and my brother is a journalist, and I was sitting with him, completely dazed, looking at the computer and freaking out as to how am I going to do it. And he said, "Hey," and I asked him a stupid question: "How am I going to I'm going to type on the computer?" He said, "Use Word," and I had to look back to at him with a dumb face. I really did not know how to operate Word. And
Right.
within 2 years, I was like pretty tech savvy. So in 2010, when I decided to move into technology and e-learning, I realized that, of course, the fear comes for everyone. I realized, hey, you know what? I have been a good trader. I have been doing decently well in my career. Now, when I jump back into e-learning, and asking questions like, hey, what's the authoring tool? Hey, what's LMS? Uh, I was thrown really, really back in the game. Okay, so I pushed myself really back in the game, but then you had to be really passionate. You had to really let go of the fear. In 2 years, I think I was there designing my own learning management systems, sitting and coding. So yeah, I think fear of change is like a biggest problem. Yeah.
I'm so glad we covered this right at the outset because fear of change is actually the root cause of non-adaptability to anything for that matter.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
feel, I feel that's endorsed so very well. I've been thinking about it for such a long time, and so many times I see so many people who are much senior to me in the profession hesitating to come to even a Zoom meeting. I'm thinking in my mind, what is wrong either with me or them? So see, not being unconsiderate about anybody. I'm so glad we covered that right at the outset. That it is only the fear of adaptability to change, which is stopping you. Technology can be everybody's friend. After all, we are using it in our day to day lives. We are using it on our cell phones, and we can't live without our cell phones, of course. So, why not take it one step ahead and actually adapt it to your professional life also? And seeing the present day situations, I think this is extremely timely that if you don't make the change now, when are you ever going to do it? It's like now or never kind of situation. The world has all of a sudden, without anybody's fault, I feel it's nobody's fault. Let's not go into any of the conspiracy theories or anything. But I
Mhm.
think everybody is thrown back, and mainly the profession of educators who are going there out there and teaching one on one. I'm putting all the trainers, coaches, school teachers, everybody in this one loop of educators. We all are educators in the broad umbrella of education. Everybody who is in the field of education has kind of just gone behind many steps. All of a sudden, the business has gone down, and not just looking at the business element. Education is, as a whole, is suffering. Therefore, e-learning is something I think we are doing this very timely, and I'm so grateful for both of you to make time to be here. And one thing that I will do right away is to make an announcement that this will not be just a 1 hour episode. I request you both to please be available next week also, and the week next. We'll make it a three-part series right away.
Sure.
What do you
Sure,
say? I
sure.
mean, the three-part
Sure.
series, I think we'll be able to cover a lot more than what we can actually cover in this 1 hour. If we have a live audience, and I think a lot of people are there, if you like this idea, kindly show a thumbs up or just send a chat reply, and I'll put it up on the screen. If you
Yeah,
want this to be a three-part series, I don't think we can actually cover everything that we want to cover
yeah,
in this one episode itself. So thank you
yeah,
so
true.
much. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for agreeing to it immediately. I
Yeah.
just want to ask you one more question, which is like a generic question again, before jumping into the real meaty element of the e-learning concepts, trends, and potential and power
mhm.
and all those things. Tell me one thing, in this terminology e-learning, what part do you allocate to e and what part do you allocate to learning?
Okay.
See, don't take this as a
Uh,
tricky question.
okay,
It's
so I'll take this question first, and then probably Smita can also answer.
yes,
Uh,
Madhuri. I know. The moment I saw that beautiful smile of yours, I knew that you were waving to jump in. All yours. The
yeah,
question is all yours.
because see, even before e-learning and everything else, I was a teacher. I have taught primary school until the TYBSc. So if you ask me, I would say it should be at least 75% to 80% learning and 25% E or 20% E, that is technology. Because people get so lost in technology and designing that they forget the basic rule that it's meant for learning. Because technology or the design, may it be animation, graphic, any jazzy thing, it should be just an enabler that helps us to learn. And then again, learning has to be, especially if it is a corporate learning, it has to be tied to a higher goal, which is business enablement, or it should enable the business. So this
Absolutely.
particular trajectory has to be there. So I would say it would be 75 to 80% learning and 20 to 25% the E part.
I endorse it completely. Completely. Thank you so very much. It is a wonderful learning in itself, because I feel we all are sitting on a bunch of knowledge, which we are
Yeah,
so unable to share in the right manner. And if
yeah,
we don't share it, what is the use of that knowledge? You may make it a business,
yeah,
you may not make it a business, but otherwise also, even if you don't think of it in a businessy angle, which I feel is completely fair, to actually be able to find an audience and propagate that knowledge properly,
true.
and make it a proper business empire for yourself.
Yeah,
Why not? We have so many channels available. So if we don't even think about that, if we're just sitting on the that knowledge and it just goes to waste. I don't think it is a great idea at all. Because,
True.
see, I'll give you a very layman's example here. So many times when I'm talking to my mom, I always tell her that you never took the greatest recipes from my grandmom, and now she
Yeah,
is gone. Nobody
yeah,
has taken down the greatest recipes of pickles and so many ancient things that she used to make, and they were just so delicious. And we all belong to India. I mean, although Smita is staying abroad for many years, I the Indianness in us, we have never lost touch with that. And those
yeah,
recipes are just really lost because nobody propagated that knowledge properly, nobody received it properly. We were just too young at that time. I was pretty young. Had I been a little older, I would have perhaps done it because of that nagging quality in me. I would say. I mean, a natural.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure Nina, you would have loved if there was YouTube at that time. So it was not just the generation next, but the generation throughout would have got the recipes. And this is exactly. So I agree with Madhuri when you say, and this is a very close to heart topic for me because I am a big lover of technology. I love technology. Anything that's new, I really jump on and I try to find out. While there is one genre of people who fear technology, in the learning domain, we have two set of peoples now. Okay, one who who are who are teachers and trainers and people who are training, okay, who fear technology and try to stay away, and the other part is a technology who 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 are jumping and feel that hey, learning is not important as long as I know what AR
Right,
is, what VR is,
right,
what this is.
exactly, exactly.
So in your to answer your question and to emphasize what Madhuri rightly said, okay, in the entire process, what is important is learning. Whether you do
Learn.
classroom, whether you do YouTube, whether you do e-learning, whether you do AR, whether you do VR. But one of the challenge that the industry is facing is that we are now designing learnings around technology.
Right.
However, it should be the other way around. You should put the learning in the center and have technology
Technology.
enable that learning.
Right.
So that's again a bigger challenge because now in people who are in the learning business like e-learning and technology business, they do not have touch of education. So
Mm.
they get really excited to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to create an animation, I'm going to
Mm.
show beautiful colors there on screen, but does your content really help people learn something is the
yeah,
bigger question that has to be answered.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, guys, whosoever is listening to this live or whosoever will look at it later on, greatest message is concentrate on the knowledge that you have, try to propagate it in the form that you can do best. And whatever technology is freely available as of now, and whatever technology is available at the moment in paid formats also, is enough for you to be able to take your knowledge forward. Don't let that knowledge die out. Don't let that knowledge subside. Just put it on the forefront and just take a leap. Just take a leap, absolutely. So, Madhuri and Smita, the second question, or rather the next question that I have, is what do you think are the e-learning trends and how does the future look like to you? E-learning trends in the present moment, and how does the future look like to you? What exactly, where exactly are we going with all this? With so many people all of a sudden jumping into the e-learning domain now, because see, it's not just about uh, a choice anymore. I think most of us don't have a choice now. If you don't do it now, then how are you ever going to actually take your profession forward? That is a crisis state also. So, what are the current trends, and how do we see the future? Any of
so
you can take the
Yeah.
question and
uh,
just
I'll just cover it briefly, and then probably Smita can also take it over. Uh, I'll go to a little back, and then I'll give you the trajectory. When the
right,
e-learning started, it started mostly with the custom e-learning developments, and they were majorly like converting something which was done in classroom, making it online. They were page turners. So this is I'm going to talk about both the things, the learning and the technology. The main thing was making something available online, which is not a web page. Somewhere you can interact with the thing, like you have little control of going next, back, clicking something, no, and playing something, visually depicting something, having some animation. Because I remember 15 years back when I started, we were developing some courses, some data transfer courses, for a very big telecom giant. And we had, and then when I first time saw that because I'm MSc in physics, specialization in electronics,
Okay,
so I know
great.
how electronics was taught. I have also taught digital electronics to college students, and I have seen people, looking at my face blankly, trying to visualize. I've also taught optics, and even back in my college, I used to think, hey, optics should not be taught like drawn on the board. So
Hmm.
when I actually saw this, that you can visually depict it, that was fantastic for me. I said, yes, this is how it should be. But then later on, we went ahead, and more and more technology came in. What is happening at the moment is, yes, technology is there. There are softwares like Adobe softwares are there, where can you create amazing animations and all that. But earlier, the courses which used to run from 4 hours to 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, now the attention span of learners has reduced. So
Hmm.
we have these small packets of micro learning. Micro learning is quite big at the moment. A lot of people are trying to create micro learning. And then there is this surge of technology, which is there. And technology is, becoming better day by day. Like, we are, I will leave technology part to Smita, but I'll try to give little overview. Like this Now we are using a lot of technology. We are doing virtual learning sessions, and they are more robust than what it was earlier. We have this mobile learning which is going on very strong. We develop these dedicated mobile apps for corporates, for companies. There are companies which have these mobile platforms who give white label solutions, where a company, let's say for example, I give example of your company. So your company owns an app which is a learning enabler, or which can have learning modules where people can subscribe. It's as good as Netflix. So we are in the world of Netflix for education at the moment. Some people, I would like to mention one company which is Edcast. It's using it very nicely.
Okay.
But people will come in that. Second thing that is coming is MOOC platforms, wherein like Udemy, Coursera, EDX, where a lot of content is available. So e-learning at the moment is very content driven. The focus has been content and technology. Now we are talking about AR, VR, but not everybody is using it properly, or you can say in an efficient way to give a user experience. Future will be that these technologies enabled with AI will be used to generate maximum user experience, and especially personalized learning experience. Just like we are consuming entertainment content now, we want personalized experience. So learning in future will be more of giving user experience and personalized user experience. So this is a complete overview, and I would like to ask Smita to add to it a little bit.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Madhuri. You did throw a lot of names, and I got really excited. It's early morning. I'm sitting with my tea. Uh, uh, so one of the best. So I have been thinking about it for years and years, and initially I thought that maybe I was wrong, but then I did. Recently, I heard a lecture from Carl Karp, who is. Who runs a lot of video on gamification, and that kind of validated my thought process. so when I go back to some of the conferences and summit and I talk about it, so I see people throw a lot of names here. Okay,
Yeah.
so we say, hey, you know what? We have to have bite-sized learning. We need to
Yeah.
have mobile learning. We need to have
Yeah.
AR. We need to have VR. We need to. So the trend next 5 years is going to be gamification, and it's going to be a mobile content. However, if I have to go back, put a step back and find out, what exactly is the trend? So the trend now, 10 years ago, and 100 years from now will be always the learner
Learner.
and the learning. Okay.
Right.
So now let me try to help put all the names that Madhuri has uttered here into the context as to why I'm saying this. Okay. So let's say 15 years ago, okay, if there is a child in a classroom, do you think he will carry a mobile phone?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
No, 15 years ago there was nobody who would carry a
No.
mobile phone. Now let's turn the wheel and go back to 2001 and look at our mobile phones in 2001. And I have done this exercise in a telecom company because I was working in a telecom company. So we say, okay, fine, 2000 phone, what kind of mobile phones we had? Okay,
Hmm.
we had those Motorola big phones with, yeah. Do you think the learning was possible on that phone? Do you think I could show screens?
No.
So you have to find out how my learner is evolving over the time, and I have to weave my learning and the technology, coming back to what I said earlier, learning at the center and technology on the outer ring. So I have to
Right.
see how are learners behaving at that point. Okay, if any of you guys who are on this webinar, and if you have a 8-year-old child, and just take a mobile phone away from him for like 2 hours, people go insane. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So so that's why, okay,
Absolutely.
that's why, I mean, we do everything on mobile phone. I see my mom learning cooking on mobile phone. Okay, she like keep
Yes.
her phone and then she'll do. So something that was a luxury at one point has become a necessity now. So if you don't have mobile phones, it's like, you don't have water in the house. Hey, we don't have a recharge on the phone, which means it's equivalent to not having vegetable in the house. Okay, so
Right.
it's become a necessity. So that's why we say that, hey, you know what, people will know, people, you have to make sure that because it has become an integral part of your of people's lives, you have to get mobile phones in their lives. And that's when the responsive learning and uh, uh, mobile learning came into place. And I remember 5 years ago, the big thing about mobile learning, everybody was talking about mobile learning in 2013. Everybody was saying mobile learning. Now let's look at some of the other things. We spend half of our day on Facebook,
Yeah.
right? Connecting
So there
people.
are some people.
There is a element that is missing in our life, which is personal. I mean, how many times we go, if we want to talk to a friend, we go to his doorstep and talk and call out his name? Or how many times I feel really sad, and the other day I was talking to somebody, and I said, the husband and wife sitting right next to each other, and they wish anniversary on Facebook, and it's pretty depressing. But yeah, that's the reality of life. And that's why when you are learning, you need to ensure that you're giving a personal touch. You're calling out somebody's name. So imagine, if you are taking a course, and if the course says, hey Nina, how are you doing today? Okay.
Right.
And that thing is missing in people's lives. So we got that back into the industry, saying, hey, we need to do personalized. Now even the kids, the way they learn now, okay, or let's look at the day-to-day life of people. They do not have even if I have to call my best friend, okay, he may not have more than 10 minutes to talk to me, because and if I speak more than 10 minutes, I think I lose the attention span. That's
Yeah.
why bite-sized learning has come, because The attention span, which was 10 minutes, have now reduced to 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
People can't focus. So there's a theory in psychology, which is a theory of three. Okay, so you do only three things at a time. You say three things, you have three objectives, you convey only three messages. So that's why we say that, okay, you know what, we need to have bite-sized learning. We need to make sure that the content is so small, the information is so small that we exactly give the same amount of information that the person needs at that point. Beyond that, like my 6 year old nephew, when I talk more than that, he says, you know what, just give me the answer, just tell me. He asked
Come
me
to the point. Yeah, come
yeah,
to the point.
he asked me a
And I think,
question.
I think, I think 10 minutes is also pretty long that you're taking it. I think it's far less than that.
So
It could be.
so that's why the bite size came. Now the technology is changing so fast that we on job also we have to keep adapting ourselves. So even if, let's say, I'm a Java professional, or I am say I am a machine learning developer, or an expert,
Right.
things are happening so fast that I do not have the opportunity to call people back into the classroom, send them back into the degrees, and say, hey, you know what, you need to add this particular patch onto your education. That's why the MOOC has come. Okay. So if I have to be on the job, I have to keep upgrading myself. Okay.
Yeah.
So the MOOC has come. Now the second thing is, with such a busy life, okay, both the parents working, and so you have to go back as to why the generation is changing. So parents are working, they have very less time to go back to the kids, and the kids miss the experience. Okay, that's when your AR and VR has come to give them the experience. That, imagine, okay, I, as a parent, I do not have time right now to take my child into at 12 o'clock in the night into a park and fix my telescope and show him stars. Okay, I don't
Mhm.
have time. But then I could give him a VR gadget. Okay, or I give him a AR lesson, and the moment he wears, he gets that experience of a starry night. Okay,
Wow.
so yeah, the AR VR. So in the end, I mean, so I work at Google on a project. So even yesterday, when we were in a meeting, and we were saying, hey, you know what, with the current scenario, we are not traveling. So we all came up with a concept that we are going to use. So Google is going to give 3 months Stadia free, and we're going to do gaming. So we all said that, hey, you know what? Why don't we use Google Maps and go Street View, explore things, and that's where we start exploring places. So I see that people are, so learning is no different game. Okay, people are just finding opportunity to adapt and adjust themselves to the current scenario. So any trend that you talk about, so gamification, okay, you can't design gamification until unless you love playing games. You
Right.
Yeah.
can't give a gamification course to somebody who does not love playing games. Okay,
Right.
then again we have things like scenario telling. Because our attention span has gone low, we have to ensure that, we try to make sure that, we give that drama get that drama element
Yeah.
back into our classrooms. Because the era is of Ekta Kapoor and Bahubali. So
Yes.
and they have been extremely successful in gluing the attention of people, and we bring it back into the classroom and say, hey, you know what, I am going to also bring the drama and say, hey, hey, Barry was doing something, this something happened with him, so people like that drama back into their life. So all of this, so in the end, the real trend, uh, now 10 years ago, 100 years later, is the learner. So if you
Learner.
really want to find out what's going to sustain next 5 years, go back and see how people learn. Meet a 5 year old, meet a 50-year old, see what technology people are using, see how the homes have changed, see what are the gadgets that they're using, see how they're interacting with people, and that will help you solve the trend question in the education.
True,
Yeah.
very true. So I'm very thankful you gave a very elaborate and nice answer. Madhuri, you also led the path properly. One question that is coming to me immediately after hearing both of you is, how does an individual educator fit into the whole scenario of AR and VR and all those technology driven e learning trends? Because they are expensive and they
Mm-hmm.
are pretty out of reach for most people. So,
Mm-hmm.
how do you think they can engage their audience? Is
Uh,
it a possibility to do it without AR, VR, or without the indulgence of all that expensive stuff? Because it is expensive. Let's look at it this way. Big companies can do it. Big companies, they design their complete LMS, and LMS, by the way, is learning management system. But how about individual educators? Because they too are sitting on a bunch of great knowledge. Yes,
yeah.
Madhuri.
So, you know, this is where again I have to point out when we think e learning, we think about gadgets, we think about technology. Personally, if you ask me, you don't need a AR and VR to have an engaging learning. Learner has to be, we just need to understand how the pattern of learning is changing. That's what Smita covered very elaborately.
Right.
How the way we are learning is changing, and we have to adapt. We need not always have AR VR. And going ahead in future, AR VR is not going to remain so expensive also. Just like there were a lot of things which are very expensive, but they are not so expensive now. So who knows? They may not be so expensive. But the point is, our focus should not be technology. Our focus should be what are the techniques that we are using for engagement. Okay,
Right. Content.
let's
You're
content take
talking about the
yeah
content.
techniques how we are engaging our learner. Like for example, I am a big fan, a big advocate of storytelling. You tell
Right.
somebody a very engaging story, and that person will be glued to you, in spite of you not using a AR or VR. Now, how you
Right.
tell the story and what story you tell, that is important. To a 5-year-old, you can't tell the story which a 50-year-old could relate to. You have to tell him or her the story that the person can relate to.
Right.
I was very recently reading a very good book. I mean, I was doing some research on storytelling and going through some material. Nowadays, I came across something like even the business magnates or very big business writers, they are using storytelling in communicating simple things. I was reading a book, I would like to name the book like Inside C Suit.
Okay.
So that person, the writer, tries to cover the topics like she talks about there's a lot of insecurity at the top. There's a lot of other things that go at the top. I'll not go in the detail of it. So now to communicate that thing, what I liked, that's a simple book. What I liked about that book is she is a management grad from a premier institute, has been a consultant to C-suits and a lot of companies, but she doesn't give the management jargon like this theory, that theory. She just compiled the book with simple day-to-day stories. Like Nina was a Harvard graduate and she joined a company.
Right.
She was working with so and so, and these things happened, and
Straightforward.
this
Yes.
happened.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
there are simple stories, but the thing that you realize that hey, how I have to suppose I have to deal with somebody, how I have to manage that person. It got completely locked in my brain, which probably a 10-page article from Harvard would have not made me realize that because
Right.
they were the simple stories, real life scenarios. I could relate to it being in corporate world for so long. So this
Right.
is what I mean. Why I'm giving storytelling experience that it's false that people need very big technology. A bare minimum technology is needed to enable you, you know,
Right.
and that's what I feel. Yeah, please.
Just sorry to interrupt you. I feel Udemy is a great example that is there right in front of us because ordinary people sitting over a bunch of knowledge, they've created fantastic courses right from their laptop without using any fantastic technologies. Just a webcam, they speaking to an audience, assuming that they are speaking to an audience, they are actually talking to a camera and just creating a course based on the knowledge that they have. And most of the courses are like that. I feel
Yeah.
that is the way to go forward. If you cannot afford AR and VR and other fantastic technologies at the moment, let's not. think about them. Let's
Yeah.
focus on the learning. Let's focus on the knowledge. Let's focus on the tools that we can afford, which we already have in our house, the gadgets that we have, and start creating something. What do you say,
Yeah.
Smita? What do you say?
Yes, yes, I agree with both of you. Okay, and let me just, I like to give twist in a story all the time. Okay, so I'll give you a twist
We love
again.
it. We love it. Actually.
I'll give you a twist again. Uh,
Hmm.
uh, to be very honest with you, your question was how would an individual trainer? I go back to my same theory. Put learning in the center and technology around. So the
Right.
question every individual trainer has to ask is, what is that I want to train? Okay, it's. I like to give very simple household experience. Okay, how do we do cooking in the house? Okay, we say, okay, this is what is there in my house. Okay, and this
Right.
is what I can make. If I don't have a special ingredient, I don't run out in the market to get that ingredient. I
Right.
make things, but end of the day, I have to my job is to ensure that I give the right cooked menu to my family. Okay, and
Right.
that's exactly what we do in the learning experience. So let's say, the trainers will look at AR, VR, and get intimidated by what's happening around the world. But the center of everything is learning. He has to first focus on what is that he want to learn, and then look at the technology that he is capable or enabled with, and weave his learning as per the technology. Now, to give you a perfect example, okay, if you say AR is expensive, I think classroom training has become extremely expensive these days. And no technology can beat the classroom training expenses. Okay, to be very honest, and I'll
To be
come
very
back to why I say that.
Yeah.
Now we talk about, hey, I have heard this question that, hey, you know what, e-learning is going to be very expensive for me. But Nina, what we're doing right now is also a sort of an education and knowledge transfer. And
yes,
yeah,
absolutely,
we have
absolutely,
YouTube. And you know what? The biggest advantage that educators have these days is that every goddamn person has a mobile phone.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely,
your VR gadget, that's your AR gadget. Okay.
absolutely, absolutely,
Right. So
absolutely.
so if I every individual, you go to I have had a house help back in India, and
Hmm.
the other day she was so upset. She asked me, she earns way less than to afford a mobile phone, but she was upset about the fact that her child does not have a phone. And then I said, why does he need a phone? I never grew up having a phone when I was in
Hmm.
school. He said, nahi didi, aajkal लगता है स्कूल में लगता है फोन मैंडेट है.
School
Okay.
people are sending the assignments in WhatsApp groups, and that's how it is. The same goes for my cook also. And I mean, I recently purchased a phone for her and gave it to her and set it up. She agreed to pay me and all that. That is apart from the whole thing. But it is basically for her son, who is just
Mhm.
a 6-year-old and is a brilliant student, to enable him to join the WhatsApp group which his class teacher is having, wherein she's sending the assignments. And this happened 2 months back.
I
At that
know
time,
it's
none of us were actually perceiving the situations that are going to be ahead. And now the entire learning is on WhatsApp groups. That's how things.
Yeah, it's a part of academia now, and it's
Yes.
it's a it's like, you had an English book. Now you also have to have a Chromebook or an phone. So one of the biggest advantage that learners and content creators like us we have is everybody has a phone.
The phone.
Okay,
Yes.
and I
There
could. Mhm.
is, sorry, there are softwares available, which I'll leave some links in the description or part of this video, and you can create wonderful animated movies
Yeah.
right from your laptop if you want to do that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you
Yes.
can create wonderful doodles. They are my affiliate links, and I'll drop them in the description of this video. And it's just very inexpensive. So, what you were saying about AR VR, if you want to really introduce that in your courses, might as well do it. The software is.
Yeah, you have a lot of stuff. Like imagine,
Yes.
okay, earlier when I had to run a presentation and I have to mark a circle saying that, hey, you know what, this
Hmm.
is what I'm referring to. with the technology changing, with the gadgets coming, it's just a piece of cake. I have a photograph. I could just put a circle on my phone and it just marks.
Yes.
You don't need expensive gadgets like, okay, setting up the if I had to. I remember way back in 2010, I was trying out an application called Slide Rocket, which is
Yeah,
now I don't know what happened, but my last update was it was taken over by VMware. Where I was so impressed by that application, because it means you could actually bring that presentation back into the live classroom. Everybody could actually see that presentation in live and could start commenting, and I could even have a control on. I can ask a question and people can on live respond to it. So this was way back in 2010. I was so impressed by that. But 10 years later, I think this is a, if I tell someone, hey, you know what, can you ask people to respond to your presentation? Yeah, it's just a piece of cake.
yeah,
Now with Microsoft introducing a lot of stuff, if you actually use Microsoft, the cloud version, you
yeah,
have 3D introduced, you have so much icons introduced, content introduced. You don't even have to worry about the design. You just pull something and
It's there.
automatically it'll give you. So everything, the moment somebody has a phone in the hand, okay, I have so many ways to connect to the phone. I can send him a QR code, and they could
yeah,
just I can send a QR code to someone, and the moment they scan the QR code on their phone, there's a video by Nina there which comes on their screen, and
yeah,
they could now share it on Facebook to the friend, okay,
yeah,
who is in some remote village, and he could say whether he liked or disliked, or he can comment and give you a real time feedback. So all
yeah,
of
Right.
this is,
Absolutely.
yeah, is weaved into learning. So again, don't think about technology, don't think that
yeah.
something is really out of my reach. If you really go out to find a solution, and again, like I said, not every course needs a VR, not every course needs an AR, not every course needs a gamification. That particular technology may not fit into your curriculum or the objective that you're trying to achieve
Yeah.
in the learning. So the other day I was speaking with someone, and the person was pretty excited. Again, a techie person was pretty excited about the VR thing, and he said, "Hey, you know what? We want to do VR classes. Okay, so we have VR gadgets. We've specially built VR gadgets. We want to do VR classes." I said, "Hey, well, how are you doing it?" He says, "I'm going to teach Java on VR." I said, "How does this happen?" He says, "You know what? The person puts on the gadget, the information comes on the screen, then the question comes on the screen. He could look at the question, nod, and answer it." I said, while you think that's engaging, that's not engaging. When somebody builds a game, say we build a gamification course, and all they're doing is the character runs,
Yes.
clicks on a box, the box opens, and they have set of questions to answer. They answer the questions, submit. Again, the character runs to a next box, uh, and a question comes. Dude, that's not gamification. If you are designing a game courses like that, you really have never played games like GTA.
I think
I
it's wasted technology. Whatever is available to us right now, and whatever
Yeah,
is available to the companies is much greater than what is available to the individuals.
yeah,
I
Yeah,
think
you
the
just,
example that you've just given, it's like a wastage of technology. Like I
yeah.
remember
yeah.
I was conversing with Madhuri the other day, and she told me that somebody asked her to build a course
On
around
AR,
HR using
HR,
using
AR.
VR,
My first
using
question, my first
yeah.
question was,
That was very interesting. It
why
got
do
me
you?
very
Yeah, yeah,
excited.
yeah. Okay, so somebody asked me, we want to design AR based courses. I said fine, without wearing those glasses. I said fine, because AR. I mean, anyway. Then I said, what is it that you want to teach? We have not yet decided. I said fine. Then what is it? She said, like they said that it's human resources. I said, for human resources, why would you need AR? I mean, what is the objective? So the whole point is, lot of big companies, this is what, I, like Smita has also told, and I'm also telling it again and again. Even we are technology people, they get lost in technology. They talk about machine learning, they talk about AR, VR, AI, everybody's talking about it. I mean, you know that, everybody's talking about it. But then it's not the technology, it has to be the learning. The first step, everybody, whether you are e-learning, virtual trainer, classroom trainer, anybody, you need to understand your learner. You first need to understand your learner, then choose what is the available technology. We can use Facebook very efficiently, like a LMS, you know, creating groups and all that. Facebook has that feature, and I had created one infographic of like it's been some time now, one more than 1 year, and I had posted it on LinkedIn and I had shared it with a lot of people. There were 10 pointers how individual trainers can actually use Facebook like a learning management system, creating groups, creating discussions. We have
Fantastic.
I had once met a trainer, and she was in business. She was a PhD, and she was running a business training business in Gurgaon. And she wanted, like she said, my clients have a problem because we don't have online learning now. And she didn't believe in online learning. She said, "Oh, how can e-learning?" Because she was a good trainer and too much into that, a classroom training. But she was trying to adapt e-learning because her clients wanted it. So she had approached me and Smita.
Right.
So we were talking in a coffee shop, and I said, "Hey, if you don't believe in something, don't go for it first,
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
the main thing is, you are the subject matter expert. You'll have to tell us. If you don't believe that e-learning can solve your problem, you don't believe it as a person, you will not be able to use it efficiently. A, because it's all about what you believe in. Second thing, what is your challenge? I understood her challenge. Then I gave her some steps. I said, see, why don't you use, what is it that you use? Oh, I coordinate on WhatsApp with my trainers, people also. Why don't you use WhatsApp? Oh, I don't want to have technology, this, that. I said, why don't you use WhatsApp? She said, how you can use WhatsApp? I said, okay, here is what you can do. My learners don't come prepared, so I want to prepare them before that, but I don't have the technology. I said, you have WhatsApp, right? Why don't you use WhatsApp? Create a proper group and
Great.
start sharing. Tell them
Great.
that before 2 weeks before, whoever has enrolled, make a WhatsApp group and say, hey, on this day, I am going to share these bytes. Give them an agenda and share those bytes. Share those learning modules. Whether you share an infographic, whether you share some small text thing, whether you share a video, recorded video on a phone, or whether you share some animation. But tell them this is what I'm going to send it to you. Prepare them before the classroom, and then take your classroom sessions. This is a very
Right.
simple example. You know.
Absolutely. Madhuri,
Yeah.
there's a bit of encouragement for us. One Mr. S.P. Sharma is sending a
Yeah.
message here that we really you are transmitting great knowledge. Please continue. So that's wonderful, and
Thank
I
you.
thank you for this.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
let's make it into a three-part series like we discussed before at the beginning of this session. We are nearing this 1 hour. Top time limit that we had set for this these kind of sessions. So I can continue. I can sit and continue for hours and hours and hours. But I know everybody has their other agenda on a Saturday morning for Smita and evening for us, But I can continue endlessly. This is a topic which is really, really so close to my heart. But what you are saying is so top notch. It is right bang on target. I'll just close this session with with an example. Like I'm selling a few properties now. They've been with me for quite some time. I was selling them before this lockdown and everything happened. About WhatsApp group, whatever you said, is so efficient. Whenever I'm doing something and I have a group of brokers or some people working, for this particular property related thing, what I did was I just made a group, WhatsApp group, and all communication should go to that only. It is just efficient for me. I just have to click onto it and I know what exactly is happening. It's such a time saver for me. It has got nothing to do with my profession, but it is such an efficient thing. And I know there is somebody on the audience who has been my coaching client also. I won't take his name, and he will know the moment I give this example. Keeping all his confidentiality intact, he and his wife, they have lots of WhatsApp groups. Like dinner group is separate, lunch group is separate. If he wants something, it's like he's taken it to the other extreme. Like I told him the other day during one of the coaching sessions that you are taking it to absolute washing limits. Yeah, that's not how you should communicate with your wife. But then if the couple is happy, I mean, who am I to interfere and who am I to say anything? If it is something that they find efficiently working, who are we to interfere? But the tools that we have presently at our fingertips, they are actually more than enough for us to create wonderful e-learning courses, wonderful e-learning materials, and there are so many platforms already available. In fact, my company, Success Synergy Enterprises, which is a sole proprietorship concern, we have come up with a few solutions. I was discussing them with Madhuri the other day, and she endorsed that they have a lot of potential and they may be absolutely rightly packaged for the marketplace here in India, where the target market is India and other places. And I'll leave a link down below. We are not discussing anything much about that those solutions as of now, but I'll leave a link in the description. If somebody is interested, they can send us an email, and by the end of this month we will be ready with everything, and then we can reach out to them. And we will not be salesy, we will not be bombarding anybody with a lot of emails, because that is something we ourselves don't like. So I think it's all about creating engaging content. Coming back to e-learning, something, when I look at engagement and some people getting like 300 plus likes on a simple picture that they share or something, I feel we are actually blowing this engagement thing a little too out of proportion. If we receive too many likes on something, we think that is engagement. But how much time does it take for anybody to just put a Facebook like? It's not even like 2 seconds or 3 seconds. Is it really engagement? Or if somebody's been with you for 1 hour, as I know a lot of people are there right now listening to this, what is better engagement? What are we looking at from the e-learning perspective? Let us discuss this in the next session, and other questions as we'll keep this as a free flowing discussion as we did just now. What do you guys say? I mean, is it all right for you if we take it this way only, or you wanted a more formatted kind of a thing?
No, whatever suits you best. That's my
Yeah,
answer.
we're fine.
Okay.
We're fine.
I think
Whatever.
I think this would be better this way.
Yeah, and I have so technology has come to our advantage, and technology has ruined our lives. Okay,
Yeah,
and the reason,
I just want to use it. I think it's all. There's a very little difference between poison and medicine. I mean,
yeah,
okay,
medicine.
and I
true.
really would like to talk about that, and I'm sure Madhuri is also equally excited on this, is because there has to be somebody who has to channelize and keep speaking about it and spread the words, so that we bring it back for our advantage. Yeah.
Yeah,
You both are great harbingers in this endeavor. I know for sure, because you have fantastic experience behind you, and I'm sure there'll be many years of experience ahead of you. And I'm so happy that you agreed to come on this these live sessions. My channel is pretty new in the sense that I haven't worked upon it much. I started it some time back, then trashed a lot of videos, some 40 videos I trashed, and they were such bad videos. Even I can't look at them. So how could I expect somebody else to look at it? So, see, engagement, I feel, is something when you can actually enjoy it yourself. When that kind of content is put out, I think a lot of other people will also enjoy it. Something
yeah,
which is created by heart, from your heart, will go out and touch a lot of
true.
other hearts and other lives. I'm sure about that. So, with that, I will thank both of you to have come to the session, and we'll keep continuing for at least two more sessions on this.
Yeah,
And thank you so much. Thank you so much for making time. It was a lovely experience for me. I hope it was an equally lovely experience for both of you also. And
Yes,
we'll
yeah,
indeed.
yeah. It is. We love to talk about this because uh, I'll again end it over that. A lot of people talk about technology. Everybody talks about gamification. Even when we pitch to the clients, like even when we were in the job or when we did our own work, everybody talks about technology. But then at the heart is the learner. The learning gets lost. So that
great.
is something we always love to talk. Smita also loves to talk about it, giving the right perspective to people. So we
Yeah.
would love to share that.
And again, I again end it with the same thing. If you're talking about gamification and if you have not played a single game in your life,
Don't.
I think you should not. Yeah.
No, I know,
So you have
absolutely.
to play Counter Strike, you have to play GTA, you have to play God of Wars, you know, have to play Skyforge. I like role play games. I
Yeah,
like a story behind it. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Great,
and
great message.
and to do good training, or to be a good trainer, or to teach your people, you don't only need gamification. There are a lot of other things. You have to adapt to your style.
Yeah,
But first, understand your learner. Understand your
absolutely.
learner.
Absolutely. That's a fantastic message. For all educators, I think that's a fantastic message. Understand your learner first. Understand your audience, the people you are trying to speak to.
Yeah,
And then when you speak, it will always be heard. It will always be engaging. It will always be fantastic because people eventually connect with people. They
yeah,
don't connect with technology. They don't connect with gadgets. No matter how much at the superficial level it seems like that, actually, human to human interaction is the very
yeah.
it's at the core of everything.
Core
Right
of it.
now, we are all in a lockdown kind of a situation, and voluntary isolation is the name of the game these days for most of us. What are we, uh, what are we really missing out on? I think the human interaction, and even if we are doing it through technology, sometimes we feel, oh my God, let's
It's
have
interaction.
a cup of coffee with somebody right in the same room. It's a human touch. Human beings are not islands in
Yeah,
ourselves. We need to have other human beings around. I think that should be the core of every e-learning activity also.
yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
so much, Madhuri. Thank you so much, Smita. We
Thank you.
will coordinate another session, and I'll remain in touch. Thank you so much. Thank you.
sure.
Have
Thank
a have
you.
a good day. Have a good
Bye.
day.
Have a
Have a
good
good day,
good
Madhuri.
evening. Bye.
Stay safe.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, yeah. Be safe. Bye.